State Representative Gordon Klingenschmitt was removed from the House Health, Insurance, and Environment Committee by House leadership this week. Fellow Republican Representative Justin Everett said that the punishment sets a dangerous precedent. David, the punishment was based on the comments that Klingenschmitt had made earlier last week about Michelle Wilkins, the long pregnant woman who was attacked. He apologized for his remarks. He is stopping his ministry at least until the end of the session. Was taking him off that committee a step too far?
No, I think it was, well, I think it was consistent with the precedent of actually how a very similar situation was handled a few years ago when there was another representative from Colorado Springs who made a religiously based comment that most people thought was ridiculous, outrageous, and very wrong, where that representative said that people who disagreed with him on charter schools, there was a special place in hell for them. And the representative was forced to voluntarily, but was basically forced to step down from being chair of the Education Committee. So like Klingenschmitt, he got a committee-related demotion. And this representative, by the way, also apologized for that, as Klingenschmitt has also apologized. And this representative, Democrat Mike Merrifield, did not resign. And people say maybe Klingenschmitt should be forced to resign. I don't take the view that you should, because you say one bad thing, that necessarily means you've got to resign from your job, and that's true, sort of across the board. Merrifield's remarks will be used against him for the rest of his political career. So will Klingenschmidt's. And part of what's going on, by the way, part of the Republican pile-on top of Klingenschmitt is Bill Cadman's seat is opening up. Klingenschmitt has his, because of term limits, Klingenschmitt has his eye on it. So does Bob Gardner, former state representative. And so I think you're seeing the El Paso County, not just the establishment, but also a lot of the mainstream, use this as the opportunity to ice Klingenschmitt out of having any possibility of running for that seat.
Stem the bleeding now before it gets worse. Craig, is this an appropriate way to handle the Klingenschmitt issue within the House?
Well, he's not a first offender. I think he said Jared Polis was like ISIS and the gay agenda is to behead people or something like that. Look, I got to know Gordon Klingenschmitt a lot better when he came on my show for an hour. People could check it out on the podcast. A startling revelation that his ministry, with no congregation but YouTube subscribers and a button you can push, brings in $800,000 a year. So you have to wonder, what's going on there? Colorado Polls has a new posting that takes my radio interview and questions the intermingling of money. So we'll figure it out. I kind of wonder always when I see televangelists like this, whether it's a shtick, an act, all designed to get money. And if you listen to him quoting Hosea, he said, I wonder if this prophecy applies. But then he went to the big finish and he said, the curse of God is on her. And it was terrible because she's a crime victim. And I hate to see people be that insensitive to a crime victim saying, it's God's doing that you, and to Klingenschmidt's credit, he did apologize for that. But part of the reason we all recoil is we don't want to think of a God who would do something like that or have any hand in it. Yet tonight I'll be celebrating Passover and for the next 8 days, and we'll read the Exodus story, and the slaying of the firstborn is the last of the 10 plagues. And as I understand, Easter has some pretty violent origins to it too. So, Gordon Klingenschmitt has provided us some food for thought.
He certainly has. $800,000 for his ministry on YouTube?
He said he was going to a CPA and that his proceeds from 2014 were $800,000.
He should be social media stuff.
Yeah, but in fairness, he said he takes zero salary and that he's one of the largest contributors. Now, take that for what it's worth. He was a military chaplain, but he only served 16 years because he got drummed out because he wouldn't stop praying in Jesus' name on all his prayers in uniform.
Wow. Dr. Chapsby, Dr. Cash. Mike, what do you think was the response appropriate from the House?
Well, I'm mixed about that. The Republicans have been holding their breath for the entire session, waiting for something like this to happen, praying, if I can use that word, that it wouldn't happen. And eventually it did. It had to, and it's who Dr. Chaps is. It's like they're talking about he talks about the demon. I think in Gordon Klingenschmidt's demon is Dr. Chaps, right? And it comes out, and if it hadn't come out on the floor of the House, it would come out on his $800,000. Where do I get into that?
YouTube, man, YouTube.
YouTube show that. But you know, the real responsibility here. The real responsibility here is with the people who elected him. None of this stuff was secret. All of this stuff was out before he was elected. All of the beheading stuff, all the wacky things that Dr. Chaps had ever said before this horrifying one. It's not so much wacky as just horrifying. One is already out there. So I mean, who gets the blame? The blame are the people who elected him, and you know I'm not a fan of recalls, and but these people should recall him just to rid themselves of the embarrassment of having elected him.
Patty, wrap it up for us.
Well, much as we wouldn't like to see him go because he's such a great topic to talk about on this show, it's not the legislature's job to police your speech. It is the voters who made the mistake of putting him in. He had said plenty of heinous things long before he was elected. The Colorado Republican Party, the El Paso County, could have gone out there, could have really done an effective fight against him. Obviously, they didn't. He was elected, and now it's going to be up to the voters and the party to get rid of him.